Hey everybody, this is Vril. Welcome back to Extended Timeline World War II. In the last episode, we had a war between the Peruvians and the Panamanians, and the Peruvians won that war, took over the Panama Canal and a couple other provinces in Panama. We also had a war between Turkey and the Iranians here, and the Turks won that war, just took over one province here in eastern Turkey from the Iranians. Then we had this Polish against the Hungarian punitive war, with their Polish had a coalition against Hungary and France, and because of France had a very large army, they were able to defend against that one, and Hungary here took over a couple provinces from Slovakia, who were part of that coalition against them. Hungary just has a lot of aggressive expansion right now. They had previously taken over quite a few provinces from Serbia, and just in the last episode, maybe it was the episode before, took over all of Bosnia here, so they're probably looking to get a seaside province because they're currently landlocked right now. So let's have a look at the armies of the world. The USA is on top, followed by the Chinese, the Soviet Union, the Germans, and the Japanese. So that is what's going on there. Let's have a look at our wars that are going on. We've got a bunch of British Commonwealth nations that are looking to gain their independence. They've got, looks like, the Netherlands, and I thought the Spanish are defending against that. The British have quite a bit of help with the Soviet Union and Argentina and Mexico. The Americans are at war with the Japanese, and actually the Chinese have just declared war on the Japanese as well, looking to take over a few provinces from Manchukuo, who are Japanese vassal, as we know. So let's just go ahead and start progressing time and see how this, I'm going to focus on this war between the Japanese and the Chinese and see how this goes down. The Chinese obviously have a very large army. The Japanese, although they've been in quite a few wars in recent episodes, are finally starting to get their manpower back together. So I do think the Japanese have a slight tech advantage in this war, but I think that the Chinese are going to have just an overwhelming supremacy of forces in this one. With their army is almost double the size here, so we'll see what happens though. We've got Manchukuo, we've got a Chinese stack. I think if they combine these, they might be able to win a decisive battle against the Chinese here, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, all of these stacks are taking supply, attrition, things like that. So yeah, it looks like the Chinese are starting with 355k stack against, I would guess if the Japanese can merge these up, they'll have maybe a couple 100,000 forces to fight off this large Chinese stack, but it looks like the Chinese are just, they've got another, I don't know, a couple 100k if they wanted to join in here. Let's see what happens though. Okay, we've got a battle going on here. Let's see if the Manchukuo can get in here, and with the Japanese possibly joining in. Just take out these smaller stacks. I would say that's smart by the Japanese. Looks like they, even with the same size stacks, they should be able to at least win this battle. This 355k is going to join in though, and I'm not, at this point, I don't think that the Japanese, I mean, they're going to lose on their own already. Okay, they're actually on the up on that particular battle, but as soon as this 355k stack joins in, this battle is over. Chinese supremacy just in their forces here. And I think I forgot to mention, we are all the way up to, I mean, the beginning of the episode was in 1967, but we're all the way up to 1968 now, so that's, what is that, 30 years since the beginning of the series, so I think we're hitting about 3 or 4 years per episode. I think we're probably going to gain a little bit of speed now that we're not having as many issues with slowdowns. We don't have all these rebels around, so yeah, this battle's almost over here. The morale of the Japanese army, the manpower that they just that they're going to have to use to resupply that army is just going to be devastating for them. You can see back here they've probably had units that completely decimated in that battle, so not good for them. Good for the... Still had a 29k stack over here. We'll see if the Americans, they've been struggling in this war. They had taken all of these, sieged everything back here. This is the Americans attacking the Japanese, but the Japanese were able to just come in here, siege everything. Manchukuo sieged this, the Japanese sieged that. Then the Americans did come in here, siege back, and then obviously they've lost back again. See what else is going on. Anything else? We've got a Mauritanian against Portugal here. Check that out a little bit. We've got Cameroon, Mali, and Guinea against Niger, Mauritania, and Madagascar. Let's just sort this by our scores. So all of our attackers are losing. Now this war is in India, so I'm not really focusing on those wars too much. There's been a lot going on with there, but not really important to the greater scheme of the globe, I would say. Like these other wars between, I don't know, Japan and all the Commonwealth nations. Obviously, we've also been focusing on what's going on in South America, but nothing going on there at the moment. So the Chinese, I'm going to look at manpower again. Japanese, okay, they still have some manpower. How's the Chinese manpower is not... Actually, the Japanese have more manpower than the Chinese at this point. So, I don't know if the Chinese are going to be able to... I would think they would be able to pull this off, but we'll see what they can do. I mean, they do have the advantage as well. I mean, not only do they have the largest army out here, they also... I mean, they don't have to send any armies across the ocean here to, bring their forces into Manchukuo, so that's an advantage to them. I would say that the one good thing for the Japanese is that they don't have to fight any allies in this war, at least. So yeah, I would think that Manchukuo, as its own country, probably does not have long to live. Although when they get into these little battles here, I think that the Japanese seem to be winning. Even though they're almost outnumbered by double. Yeah, I think they just won that battle there. If they can win these little battles here as the Chinese forces, merge into these provinces, I think they have half a chance at least. We've got like a 60k versus 120k. I think they're going to lose that one, though. I don't know. We'll see. It ended, but I could not see. I think that I think the Chinese won that. I mean, they occupied that province. Yeah, they're just flooding over, and you can see that the Japanese forces are completely scattered. They're trying to rebuild their armies here. Obviously, rebuilding in Korea is not the greatest decision because the Japanese just can come destroy them. Or sorry, the Chinese can just come and destroy the Japanese forces that are reassembling. Yeah, they've got this 90k stack here. Although, let's see, this war score is up to 25 on the side of the Chinese. Okay. Almost up to 1969. I think by the end of the episode we should be well into the 1970s. I'm just going to glance. Let me just show our diplomatic view here. And out of curiosity, who is the government of Japan at this point? Still is a emperor, so they still have their emperor. The Chinese are their socialist state. Why are we not seeing? There we go. So the Chinese are allied with the Soviet Union. That makes sense, but the Soviets are not part of this war. I think the Soviets are just kind of spent when it comes to wars that have been going on so far in the last couple of episodes. Probably pretty high war exhaustion. We've got another battle between the Japanese and the Chinese going on here. And it looks like the Japanese actually have the upper hand in this battle until this 165k stack shows up here, and it didn't. They won that. But I will say that the Japanese here are doing a pretty good job defending against this. I'm getting a little bit of slowdowns, I think, because the Chinese have this gigantic army. Okay, I didn't notice this, but I think that the American attack on the Japanese has ended, but we see now that the American-Mexican imperialist war, we've got a war between the Mexicans and the USA being the aggressor here, and the British are helping the Mexicans. Canadians are helping the Americans. Okay. I would say this war will be pretty one-sided. We'll see how this goes. I would say that the British are going to have to help out, but they certainly don't have the army to do much of anything, so this war might just end because of the... I imagine that the USA probably has pretty high war exhaustion, so I'm surprised that they would be going on the offensive. I mean, they are the attacker here, so yeah, I don't think that the Mexicans have much of a chance here. I guess this is based on how the time lapses go. In the modern era, this is kind of what happens between the Mexicans and the USA. The USA is able to expand through them pretty easily. So let me just head back on over to Japan. Got some battles. Looks like the Japanese, let's see, this is another pretty decisive battle here. Hit almost a 220, 240k stack against the Japanese. They almost were... Chinese had almost double the forces here, but it looks like, I mean, looks like the Japanese are doing pretty well against these, so yeah, the Chinese are not winning. I think that the Chinese need almost double the forces to take out one of these Japanese stacks, so if the Japanese have 100k, the Chinese need at least 200k to really be successful. So we'll see. I mean, the Chinese are certainly sieging a lot, but if the Japanese can hold out a little bit longer, get the Chinese to run out of manpower here, they might have half a chance. Look at this. The Chinese are down to 200k. They're almost out of manpower. The Japanese have 300k, 50k manpower. So the Japanese have more manpower and a larger army at this point. So that's pretty surprising here. You just head back on over to the US, see what's going on here. Yes, you can see that the US is just swamping over Mexico. They're taking over everything they can. The Canadians help. Mexicans are saying, where are our allies? In the British, but the British are occupied with other wars that are going on. For instance, the British-Sudanese War for Independence that is going on. Okay. And it is 1970 now. Didn't see that the clock ticked over. Getting a little bit slow down here, so I'm going to drop down the speed here. Although I'm not sure if the speed really affects when there's going to be a slowdown. I mean, if it's two... I was getting slowdowns even on one at some points in time when there were all those rebel armies out here. So we've got a war between the Mexicans and the Americans. Actually, the Americans are pretty stupid here because they do not have a leader on this 240k stack that is fighting against the Mexicans here. Although it looks like numbers, I mean, they have 4 times as many forces here. That 2-star general won't matter at that point. A 2-star general here. I don't think any of these names are going to be anybody at this point anymore. I'm sure all of our Pattons and MacArthurs have died. Getting a little bit of slowdown there. Let me head on over to Japan. So we'll see if the Japanese can start to siege back some of these provinces that have been taken from Manchukuo. And, okay, I was going to say, I thought that American war had ended, but that was still going on. Got another Mongolia. Let me double check what's going on here. Mongolia is... Okay, Mongolia has joined this war on the side of the Japanese, interestingly enough. Okay. It's very interesting. The war score is on the side of the Japanese now in this war. I really did not expect that. It looks like Mongolia, though, does not have the technology level of the Japanese here. So I just looking at that, it looked like they lost that battle. Certainly, yeah, I believe so. But I guess that's what they're trying to get. They want the technology level being close with the Japanese offers. Have sieged a little bit there. They're looking to get some provinces in China, I'd say. Yeah, I just don't know that the Japanese just need, and Manchukuo, and Mongolia, I guess, really need to... We have some communist revolutionaries in Manchuria. Or Manchukuo. That will certainly help the Chinese here. Got more communist revolutionaries. Okay, I was going to say that's a small stack there, but that is a navy fleet. Let's go, just double check here. We've got a Brazilian-Argentinian imperialist war. Brazil allied with the Germans, and Guinea against the Argentinians and Great Britain. So actually this... couple big wars going on here. This could be interesting. The Argentinians are pretty large at this point. 50k stack here for the Brazilians. Do they have another stack around? Not that I am seeing. Argentinians with 67... Okay, that is actually the Brazilians. Plus 50k. So... 3-star general, though, on the Argentinians, though. Okay, well, I'm going to... Let's head on up to the Americas. Look at this. The America has occupied all of Mexico, just about, except for that peninsula there, and Yucatan Peninsula is completely occupied. Just a couple more provinces in Mexico. Did they have... Yeah, they were allied with the British, so Belize was also being occupied. I'll be curious how much they can actually take. What is their war score at? Well, I guess their war score isn't that high because of the British being their ally, the Mexicans' ally. Let's head back on over to Japan, see what's going on. Got 4 stacks of... Okay, we have got some Manchukuo noble rebels. I guess that would be on the side of Manchukuo against the Chinese occupiers at the moment, anyway. Got some small Manchukuo stacks that look like they're starting to siege back some territory from the Japanese. What was the war score on this? It's not too positive, but it is positive on the side of the Japanese. Obviously, the American-Mexican War is way on the side of the Americans. But the Chinese are still able to, even with like 1k stacks, able to siege down some of these provinces here in Korea and Manchukuo. So I'm thinking that the Japanese, yeah, they took over. Let me just pause this here for a moment. Or did they already core that up? Or they probably already had it as a core. Is that what it was? They certainly don't have these as a core. But I do think they ended that war with the Americans, and they captured a couple more provinces, I want to say, from the American Indonesia here. Okay. So coming up on the new year and the start of 1971, it does look like we're out of time for this episode. I hope you enjoyed this one, and please consider hitting the like button if you did, as it really helps out the channel. And I'll see you guys next time.